Every firstborn child of Pastor Joel's church had died under mysterious circumstances. What should have been a sanctuary of hope had turned into a place of unspeakable sorrow. The truth, when it came out, left the entire city shaken. But Pastor Joel's story had started long before he became a man of God. It was a tale of ambition, desperation, and a deadly pact that led to destruction. Welcome to Touching Stories and Tales channel. The story you are about to hear is based on true event. A boy who wanted more. Joel was born into a world of scarcity. His village, tucked deep in a dusty countryside, had nothing to offer but struggle. His parents were farmers, tilling the dry soil from sunrise to sunset, earning just enough to put a little food on the table. Joel was the eldest of 5 children, and from a young age, he felt the weight of his family's poverty. The village had no school, no electricity, and no clean water. Joel's father often told him, "This is the life God gave us. Be content." But Joel wasn't content. He hated the holes in his shoes and the sound of his siblings crying at night from hunger. He hated the idea of living his entire life the same way his parents had, poor, tired, and forgotten. Every night, Joel lay awake dreaming of the city. He imagined tall buildings, paved streets, and a life filled with wealth and luxury. By the time he was 18, he could no longer suppress his desire for something more. Against his parents' wishes, he left the village and boarded a rickety bus to the city, carrying nothing but a small bag of clothes and his dreams. The struggles of city life. The city was everything Joel imagined, big, bright, and bustling. But it was also harsh. Without any skills or education, Joel struggled to find work. He spent his first night sleeping under a bridge, his stomach growling from hunger. Determined to survive, Joel took on any job he could find. He swept streets, carried heavy loads at the market, and sold snacks on the roadside. But no matter how hard he worked, the money was never enough. His earnings barely covered a single meal a day, and the glittering lifestyle he had imagined seemed farther away than ever. As the years passed, Joel became bitter. He watched wealthy people drive by in shiny cars, their faces glowing with ease and confidence. He often asked himself, "What do they know that I don't? How did they get so rich while I'm stuck here, struggling for scraps?" One evening, after losing yet another job, Joel sat on the steps of a rundown church, his head in his hands. That's when he met Prophet Elijah. Meeting the prophet. Prophet Elijah was everything Joel wanted to be. He was dressed in a sharp suit, his fingers adorned with gold rings. His car, parked nearby, was a sleek black machine that seemed to command attention. Elijah noticed Joel's desperation and smiled. "Young man," he said, "why do you look so troubled?" Joel hesitated but then poured out his frustrations, his poverty, his failures, and his unfulfilled dreams. Elijah listened patiently and then said, "If you truly want to be rich, you must be willing to pay the price." Joel's heart raced. "What price?" he asked eagerly. Elijah leaned in closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Come with me, and I'll show you a pact with darkness." The next day, Elijah took Joel to a remote village where they met an old herbalist. The man's small hut was filled with strange objects, bones, jars of herbs, and carved idols. The herbalist examined Joel carefully before speaking. "You want riches?" the herbalist asked. "Yes," Joel said without hesitation. The herbalist nodded and began explaining the terms of the pact. "You will be rich beyond your wildest dreams, but your wealth will require a sacrifice. Every firstborn child of your followers will die to feed your fortune. The more followers you have, the richer you will become." Joel froze. The idea of sacrificing innocent children horrified him, but then he thought of his years of struggle, his parents' poverty, and the life he desperately wanted. Blinded by his greed, he agreed. The herbalist performed the ritual and gave Joel a small charm, warning him never to lose it. This charm will bring you wealth, but if the truth of your pact is revealed, everything will collapse. The rise of Pastor Joe. Armed with his charm, Joe reinvented himself. He rented a small space and began calling himself Pastor Joe, a man of God sent to perform miracles. With the charm's power, Joel was able to perform what appeared to be miracles, healing the sick and helping people find jobs. Word spread quickly, and people flocked to his church. Joel's wealth grew rapidly. He built a massive church, bought expensive cars, and moved into a mansion. His congregation adored him, calling him a true man of God. But behind the scenes, the charm was doing its dark work. One by one, the firstborn children of his church members began dying. Parents grieved, but Joe reassured them, saying, "The devil is testing our faith. Stay strong." Most believed him, too blinded by his charisma and supposed miracles to suspect the truth. The truth comes to light. For years, Joel's dark secret remained hidden. But one Sunday morning, everything changed. A traveling preacher named Pastor David arrived in the city. Known for his spiritual discernment, Pastor David felt an unsettling presence near Joel's church. Guided by the Holy Spirit, Pastor David decided to attend one of Joel's services. As he prayed silently during the service, he felt the weight of evil in the room. At the end of the service, Pastor David stood up and began to speak. "This is not a house of God," he declared. "This is a house of blood." The congregation was shocked. Joe tried to dismiss Pastor David as a troublemaker, but Pastor David continued, revealing the dark truth about the charm and the deaths of the firstborn children. Joel's charm burned hot in his pocket, and he fell to the ground, screaming. The congregation, realizing they had been deceived, turned on Joe. They wept for their lost children and cursed the man who had betrayed their trust. Justice and redemption. Joel was arrested and confessed to everything in court. The church was shut down, and the mansion and cars were sold to compensate the grieving families. Joel spent the rest of his life in prison, tormented by the consequences of his greed. The moral of the story. Joel's story is a powerful reminder that shortcuts to success often lead to destruction. Greed blinds and corrupts, turning people into monsters. True wealth comes from hard work, honesty, and a clear conscience. In the end, justice prevailed, and the truth set people free. Let this story remind us all, the price of greed is far too high to pay. If you enjoyed this story, please click the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you'll be the first to know when I share more stories like this. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. It truly means the world to me. If you've made it this far, I know you watched to the very end, and that makes you the real MVP. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Peace be unto you. Bye for now.